Hello, my super awesome typing and PC skills and tech class super awesome friends. This is Mr. Ray. For those of you who have not met me before, I own Kids Learning Tech. This is all my stuff. I love it. I love getting to work with you guys. I hate that we're all not face to face this week or next week, but soon enough. But since we're home, let's make some good use and master the universe one bit at a time. We're doing that today by getting better control over the most ubiquitous piece of technology we have, and that's the computer. So, typing in PC skills, let's dive right in, my crazy friends. So, we all know what this is. This is our computer. Now, we've had discussions before, fundamental ones, about what technology is. Technology is a means and a tool for a variety of reasons. Specifically, computers are a special technology because they use data. We've talked about this a lot this year. We're going to keep talking about it until you just go nuts because data is all around us. Your world is based on network data. The better understanding you have of it, the more control you have and the more abilities you have and that you're able to express. So, understanding what data is to kind of further our discussions a little bit. So, we have sick person one and sick person two. Sick person one says, "My name is Jim," and sick person two says, "My name is Susan." Okay, Jim and Susan have now exchanged data. Can you tell me, even though I can't actually hear you, shout it out to mom and dad or just sort of to the universe in general, tell us what data they've given to each other? I'll count down from five. Five, four, three, two, one. Did you shout it? Okay. They gave each other their names. Data is just a fancy word for information. In this case, they exchanged information. They gave each other their names. Here is an example of a human being providing data to a machine. In this case, microwave oven. Let's think about what data do you need to give to a microwave oven? If you're not sure, let's think about the context. If you put a hot pocket into the microwave oven, the microwave oven for all of its incredible features. I mean, really, it's arguably a pinnacle of 2,000 years of human development and engineering marvels. But for all of that, it's essentially dumb. It does not know you just threw in a hot pocket. And even if it did, it doesn't know how you like the hot pocket. So the data that you must provide to the microwave oven is time, the amount of time you want for it to cook. And that's really neat. So, the example, giving data, and I want us to harness that idea and understand that data is both mobile and portable. It doesn't just stay in one place. You're giving the data, you're transferring it to somewhere else. That's what we're really doing with computers at all time. Furthering our discussion and idea of what data is, let's talk about down with the data. We are down with the data. So looking at this, let's go through a number of examples. What data would you give to this? So here's a TV. This is a bit of a unfair question in the way we ask it. It can have a couple of answers. Think of it this way. When you buy a TV or when mom and dad buys a TV, is every television show and every movie already inside of that TV? No, they must come from somewhere else. The movies and TV shows are themselves data. So, in order to show anything on the TV, you have to send data to it. It has to have something which it can display. So, understanding that data takes a lot of different forms. In this case, what data would you give to an alarm clock? The alarm clock, the really simple ones, you guys may not be familiar with them, but mom and dad will be. When you plug it in, it keeps flashing 12, 12, 12, 12 until you're able to program it, until you're able to tell it what time it actually is. Or even for that matter, you need to tell the alarm clock when you want the alarm to go off. Because even if it is, let's say it's an internet connected alarm clock or something like a phone, and it'll automatically reach up into the cloud and find the actual time. It doesn't know when you need to get up to eat your Cheerios. That's a you thing. So you need to program it. You need to tell it what time to set the alarm for to go. So you're providing that data to it in that way. Looking at this then, what data would you give to a washing machine? Like the microwave oven, You could throw your clothes inside, but the washing machine, it doesn't care. It has no idea what's actually in there. And even if it does, it doesn't know how long you want it to wash or what changes that you need and want it to make. So you must provide that particular piece of data. Moving on and understanding then, what data would you provide to the Redbox machine? You walk up to the machine. There's really, really an amazing piece of technology, but can it read your mind? Does it know what you want to see? You might not know what you want to see. You have to tell it. You have to provide that machine that data. In this case, what data would you give to someone at Waffle House? Let's think about this. I'll give you a few seconds, sort of ponder it out. I'll count down from five. Five, four, three, two, one, zero. Do you think about it? When you go into the Waffle House, their staff is awesome. But unless they've seen you every day and you order the same blueberry waffles every single time, they won't know. And maybe you change your mind as well. They can't read your mind. You must give them information. You must tell them that you want to have your Texas cheesesteak toast and rocking through that way. So they must have that information from you. In this case, then as well, what data would you give to a doctor? Coming in, she doesn't know what your symptoms may be. Maybe you've got an earache or you've got an itchy eyebrow. And she doesn't know. She can't help you unless you tell her what is wrong. So you give that particular data, that information to the doctor. And then in this case, this guy right here, he might come to your house, but if you can't tell him which sink or commode is having a hard time, he can't actually fix anything until he knows the problem. One of my favorites here, what data would you give to these guys? And the data then is that you would rub their belly. That's not data, but as you're rubbing their belly, you would tell them that they are very sweet and they are adorable and chubby and absolutely wonderful. That's the data. They don't actually care as long as you're rubbing their belly and then you give them the food, but it's still nice to give them that data. So moving on, we got a better idea of what data is. We're going to work with that a bit. Let's break out our text and typing skills. We've talked about this in previous weeks, but we haven't really had a chance to work on it. So talking about highlighting something, and then we have the ability to manipulate it. So let's listen to the super smart awesome man in this next part of the video. Okay, my terrifyingly terrific typists. We're going to talk about a really important and useful skill slash tool that we use everywhere on a computer, not just when we're typing in a Word document, but really anywhere where we have text or if we want to select something. And that is highlighting. To highlight es muy importante. Let's think about how the computer works. The computer doesn't read your mind. So the computer has no idea what you want to work with. I want to change one of these words. The computer doesn't know which one. And if I just hover my mouse over it, the computer doesn't know and doesn't care. It can't figure that out. So I need to help the computer. I need to let the computer know exactly which of these words I want to work with. And the way we do that is highlighting. The way that we will highlight, I'm going to do this word highlight here. So what I will do is I place my little cursor guy here at one side of the word, and then I'm going to hold down the left button. And then, holding on the left button, I'm going to move it this way, and it has now been selected. Really handy, we have this little mini window come up because the computer says, aha, I know that my super awesome user wants to do something with this, so I'm going to pop up all of these gorgeous options. These are defaults. You can do other things and find them out, but this is super handy here. So this little guy, make it larger and smaller. You can do that here as well. Change what it looks like. These are fonts. Remember that word. We're going to talk about it in just a moment. We can bold, italicize, underline, change the color, do a lot of neat things. And we're only able to do that because the computer knows that we selected that word by highlighting. So we will do that exact thing now. What I want you to do, we will have our Word document open, and you're going to type the word highlight, and then you will work on highlighting that word.
Very exciting. So go ahead and do it, my terrifyingly terrific typists.
Okay, that guy really knew what he was talking about. So, with that in mind, what I want you to do now is, if you haven't already, you can open up Microsoft Word or Google Docs, any sort of program there. Mom and Dad can help you if need be. And let's go ahead and pause the video here as needed. And all I want you to do is type the word highlight and then highlight it, just like we were seeing previously. Give that a shot. Okay, assuming we rocked that out, now let's go ahead and talk about fonts. Notice what fonts are here. It is the same word, but it looks a bit different each and every time and each way. I always like making one wiggle there. So they'll move around a little bit. Each of these is still spelled F-O-N-T, but they're just a little bit different. Let's listen to the super smart awesome man again and see what he has to say about them.
All right, terrifyingly terrific typesters, we will now talk about fonts. And fonts are fantastic, or maybe they're font-tastic. Haha, that's a dad joke, and I'm terribly sorry. So please forgive me. Moving on. A font is basically how we make words look. It's a type of typesetting, and it can be fun. It can also be a way to grab someone's eye. Really, you're just changing how the words appear. You're not changing what the words actually are. A good way to think of it is the difference between printing something when you're handwriting and using cursive. You could consider those different fonts. You're writing the same words, you're writing your name. In one case, you're printing it, another case, cursive. Exact same thing here. A fun way to show this is using our highlighting skill. So right now, Tech is awesome, we know that, and it is in a font called Calibri. We want to change that font. So even though Tech is awesome, the blocky letters we have here aren't exactly getting anybody's attention. So we want to change that up. So I'm going to left click. In this case, I double clicked. And now my text is highlighted. The computer, aha, knows that the user wants to do something. So typically, we have this handy little list of shortcuts, things we can do. We're going to talk more about these later. You will also see the fonts listed up at the top of the screen in the home ribbon, but this is a handy way right here. So right now we see it's Calibri body, and watch what happens when I click down here. These are all different fonts. Look what happens when I just hover over them. Do you see Tech is Awesome is changing? And there are lots of fonts. And we all have favorites. Well, you don't have favorites yet, but hopefully you will get some. I like the one Montserrat. I don't know why. It's just kind of fun to say as well. So I'm going to choose that guy right now. And bam. So I have changed this font. Now you will get the chance to do the exact same thing.
Super awesome, crazy friends. What we want to do
All right.
is move forward with that skill. Open up Microsoft Word and or Google Docs again. You should already have it open. And then I want you to type your name 10 times and change the font for every single version of your name, and also make some larger and smaller. So type your name 10 times, highlight them, and then change the font. Change how it looks and appears. Go ahead and pause the video right here to give yourself more time. I'll count down kind of from 10, and I'll give you plenty of time to pause if we're moving on to our next slide. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hopefully you've paused that, and if not, you can always sort of move back. But let's assume you rocked out your name 10 times, highlighted it, changed the font and the size. Very exciting. So moving on, some of our fun with apps. These are apps offered by Microsoft, and the majority of them are actually included with your Office 365 or your parents' Office 365 subscription. We're going to focus on one today. Our new one today is this one, and is not called X. This is actually really bad example for Microsoft to give you guys because it's actually called Excel, which begins with the letter E. But moving on. So this is what we're going to focus on today, Excel. And let's listen to the super smart awesome man in this video as he tells you a little bit about it.
Super awesome typing texters. You are now going to start your journey on being data maestros. Data, as we know, is information. We talked about that earlier, and there's a reason for it. This is the Microsoft Office app Excel. We've talked about Word, we've worked with PowerPoint, you see some other ones as well, and Excel is a lot of fun. I think you might even find it excellent. Ha ha ha, another dad joke, for which I really feel the need to apologize. So there we are. Moving on from there. Excel, as I said, is a great way to manage data. We know that data is information. Here is one way that we use it all the time. This is one of the rosters for our classes. We see our students, listed, who is their teacher, their grade, their class. Great way for us to see a roster. It's a great way to organize information so we're able to access it pretty easily. We've organized this one based on this general info. Excel, however, is not just for making fancy looking lists. Its real purpose is dealing with numbers. We'll talk about these sheets later on. So let's say we had a factory and we had machines. Our machines don't need fancy names, although it's usually nice. So I have machine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I want to know the number of widgets, which is just a fictitious product, that was produced by each machine. In this case, it was 15, 22, 19, going all down our list. If I'm running a factory, I need to know how many widgets actually got made. So here is my total. The great thing about Excel is that it is not just a way to show the information, it will actually add it for you. So watch what happens if I realize, well, machine 5 didn't have such a bad day. Machine 5 didn't just make 2 units, machine 5 made 22 units. So look down here at 265. When I hit enter, watch what happens to, 625. Watch what happens when I hit enter. It adjusted it. It made a change. If I say machine number 12 didn't do 14, it had a lousy day. Machine 12 is the one that only produced 2 widgets. Watch what happens when I hit enter. Bam! It changed my total. This is a fantastic tool we're going to learn a bit more about.
Okay, so having a bit of a better understanding that Excel is really all about data.
The first thing for us to focus on in Excel is understanding what the basic components are. The first one is the word cell. It's not really coincidence they named it Excel because they were trying to be clever. So a cell is, well, I think what you'd imagine it. Think of like a prison cell. It's a place where you are trapped. You can put a lot of things in, not necessarily evil, bad people, but in this case, information. So every one of these little boxes is a cell, and they are each self-contained. So I'm going to go to my first cell here, and watch what happens when I type my name. Okay. Now it looks like my name went over this first cell and went over into that one. Here's something fun to watch. Watch what happens when I click on the cell that's next to the first one, and I'm going to type my name again. Check out what happened. My last name looks like it disappeared from the first one. It actually didn't because it has the information trapped. I'm going to click. Watch, I click on this first cell. You see my whole name, Raymond Marker. Click on the second cell. Watch what happens when I click on this third cell. I'm just going to hold down the letter R. Actually, let's change it up. I'm going to hold down the letter T. T, off the screen. It looks like, oh my gosh, I erased my last name, but I actually didn't. I'm going to click on this cell. There's my name. Watch what happens when I click on this fourth cell. I'm going to change the letter. This time, let's go with the letter F. And look like I'm erasing all those T's, but I'm actually not. All those T's are still right there. See how we have them listed up here? That's our information. And then I'm going to click over here, and then I'll click on my name. So every one of these rectangular boxes is its each own individual cell. And it's a good way to think of it as its each own individual box. Anything you typing all that gibberish is trapped in that box and cell. I can go to this next guy, and I have a new box. Kind of neat. This is an important way to understand. Every one of these cells is its own container. It is its own box.
With that understanding that every piece of information is trapped in its own box, let's go ahead and put that to use. So you'll want to have mom or dad, if they haven't already, open up Excel for you, or even any spreadsheet program. Google has their own version as well. And you want to type your name in a different cell. So I want your first name right here, middle name, and then last name. Let's go ahead, hit pause on the video to give yourself plenty of time to do that, and making sure we're purposely putting each one of our names in a different place that way. I'm going to count down from 5 and give you guys time to go ahead and pause the video. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And all right, so let's move on to our next basic component for Excel. That is columns.
The second major component of Excel are the columns. So we know that a cell is one of these boxes. Well, we have collections of these boxes, and this is how they're organized. We're going to talk about specifically columns. A column, as you see in the picture to the right on this screen, is something that goes up and down. Columns go up and down. In this case, the columns are lettered. So right now, I am in column D. Now I'm in column B. They go all the way, not only to Z, but they go pretty much as far as you can possibly imagine. Once they get past the 26th letter, they sort of double up. We can talk about that fun stuff later. So an important thing to know is when our cells are stacked on top of each other, they are known as columns. So what I will want you to do is type your name on top of each other. So I will type my name, Raymond, if I can type my name correctly. So my first, middle, and last name. Type them in a single column just like that.
So to have a better idea of what we're wanting to do, just look at our picture here. Pick any column. It doesn't have to be column B. So I've got column B here, which is great, but you don't have to do that. And literally stack your name first, and then middle in the middle, and then last on the bottom. Let's go ahead and give that a try. If you need extra time, let's go ahead, if you haven't had a chance to pause before I start our next bit about rows, I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hopefully we got your name stacked. Let's talk about our next main component for Microsoft Excel, or really any sort of spreadsheet program.
The last main component we're going to talk about today for Excel are the rows. We already did the columns. You know the columns go up and down. The rows, however, go side to side. The rows are across. Rows go across, and the rows are numbered. This is an important thing to understand. So we have row 1, 2, we have rows all the way through 15. That is how you can describe where some information is. So I'm going to write my name. My first name is in row 4. My middle name is in row 9. And my last name is in row 14. Row 4, row 9, row 14. I'm going to want you to do the same thing. Typing your name, first name, row 4, middle name row 9, last name row 14. Doesn't matter which column. Let's go ahead and have at it.
So here's an idea of what we're wanting that to look like. So your first name, let's make that in row number 4, middle name 9, last name in 14. Do it specifically, 4, 9, and 14. I'm going to count down from 5 so you guys have a chance to pause the video, take your time, really take a look at this, and we'll go from there. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, rocking and rolling. Let's move on to our next part for Microsoft Excel, or really any spreadsheet program, and that is sums.
The first thing we want to think about with Excel is really probably always going to be numbers and how we can manipulate them, different formulas, how we can add them, do lots of neat stuff with math. So talking about math, let's talk about sums and how Excel is a wonderful tool. We had seen before in our example of adding up the widgets that each machine made. Let's talk about that a little more. So we know our basic math. If 1 plus 1 equals bananas, no, kidding, they equal 2. All right, so 2 is the sum. The number 2 is the sum of 1 plus 1. If we're adding up a couple of numbers, it's not that bad. We can do that in our head. But what if we have dozens of numbers, hundreds, even thousands, tens of thousands of them? Easy to lose track and easy to make a mistake. There are several ways for us to do this in Excel. We're going to talk about the simplest way and then give you a crack at it. So let's say I want to add the number 67 and then let me see 89 and then 107 and then 1000. Actually, let's make that 1005, and then how about 200,673. So those are some numbers. If we just added 2 of those, we could probably do it in our head or on a pen and paper, but it's easy to make a mistake. Excel has a wonderful tool that's going to highlight, pun intended, one of our newest skills we talked about earlier in this class, and that is highlighting. If I put my little cursor mouse here and I left click and I drag down, so I've highlighted all of these, well, now we have something that's pretty cool. Look right here, and we have the sum. Pretty neat. 67 plus 89 plus 107 plus 1005 plus 200,673 equals 201,941. If you're not entirely sure that you trust me, and don't blame you for that at all, let's do a couple easy ones here. So what is 55 plus 45? My friends, you do that in our head. For those of you who have not, that equals 100. You can double check me. But watch, I'm going to highlight that. And then this one, look at what my sum is. And it doesn't have to be up and down. We can do it side to side. So let's have 36 plus 64. Going to highlight those. What do we get? 100. Let's go ahead and start doing basic sums in Excel. Have at it. The first thing we want to...
Okay, so let's go ahead and finish that part. What I want you to do is in Excel, let's have some fun with some of the numbers. Just fill up different columns and then highlight them, and let's get those sums to work. And this is going to be a real solid introduction to Excel. Let's have at it.